Have you ever had one of those days where you feel like you're flying through the water? Every stroke feels strong, and you think to yourself, this is it. I've got this. Then the next day you show up, and it seems like you've forgotten how to swim. You're dragging, your strokes are sloppy, and no matter how hard you try, it's just not coming together. I get it. Inconsistency is one of the biggest frustrations in our sport. It's exhausting mentally, physically, and even emotionally. But here's the truth, it's not a sign that you're failing, it's a sign that something deeper is going on in your training. Today, I want to talk about how you can build confidence in your ability, keep your strokes together, even in those tough situations, and ultimately swim faster by not watching the clock. And yes, I'm going to share a personal story with my own struggles with inconsistency, burnout, and injury, and how I finally found joy again in the pool. Let me take you back to a time in my swimming career when I was stuck in a loop of inconsistent performances. One day, I'd have an incredible practice, hitting every turn perfectly, making every interval exactly where I needed to be, pulling water like I never had before. And the next day, I couldn't even keep my strokes together. It felt like my body was fighting itself, and the water felt heavy and unforgiving. And it wasn't just practice, it was happening in races too. I'd go into a meet feeling confident, only to leave wondering what the heck went wrong. My times fluctuated like crazy. I started to lose trust in myself, my coach. I blamed my body, thinking maybe I wasn't strong enough, fast enough, or maybe I was just overtraining. The doubt crept in, and it wasn't long before that inconsistency led to something worse, shoulder injuries. My frustrations boiled over. I'd been grinding harder, training longer, and thinking the answer was just outwork those inconsistencies by outworking my competition. But that only made it worse. I was burnt out physically and mentally. The sport I loved so much had become something I dreaded. It felt like I was going to a job I didn't enjoy every single day. It was very hard to be motivated to go to practice. And here's where it changed for me. I realized I wasn't focused on the right things. I was chasing times, trying to enforce improvements instead of paying attention to quality, technique, and efficiency. The things that really actually matter in swimming. That's when I shifted my entire approach to the sport and to the way I was training. I stopped obsessing over volume and yardage. I stopped looking at the clock as my only measurement of success. And instead, I created what I now call the Q.T.E Framework: quality over quantity, technique, and efficiency. Let me explain what each of these means to me and how they can help you break free from your cycle of inconsistencies. Quality over quantity. It's a phrase that's used very frequently, but in swimming, this is what it meant to me. For years, I thought doing more was the answer. It was the common practice among coaches to throw as much yardage into your practice as you possibly could. More laps, more training hours, more intensity. But I was wrong. My coaches were wrong. Quality trumps quantity every single time. Instead of mindlessly grinding through sets, I started focusing on making every stroke count. I became hyper aware of how my body was actually moving in the water. Was my catch strong? Was my core engaged? Were my hips aligned? These small adjustments led to major breakthroughs in my performance. Let's be real. If your technique isn't solid, no amount of training will make you faster. When I shifted my focus to refining my strokes, breaking them down, rebuilding them with the help of drills that were targeted towards my weaknesses, I started to see real, consistent progress. Confidence comes from knowing your stroke is sound, that it's repeatable even when you're tired or under pressure. That is where I got technique from. Finally, efficiency. Swimming isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. Once I started focusing on energy conservation, using every bit of movement to push me forward instead of creating drag, I became more efficient in my swimming. And here's the kicker: when you stop fighting the water and start flowing through it, you actually swim faster without burning yourself out over long periods of time. That's when swimming started to become fun again. You feel in control, and the water becomes your partner, not your enemy. Now, let's talk about something that's going to sound counterintuitive. You need to stop watching the clock. I know, this sounds crazy. Swimming is built on times and splits, right? But here's the thing: when you're constantly chasing the clock, you're focused on the wrong metric. You start swimming with tension, trying to force speed in everything you do. You tighten up, your stroke falls apart, and suddenly you're fighting the water instead of working with it. When I stopped chasing those numbers and started focusing on how I felt in the water, my form, my efficiency, my flow, something incredible happened. My time started to improve. Without the pressure of constantly trying to beat the clock, I swam with more ease and confidence, and the results followed naturally. When I fully embraced the Q.T.E framework, I not only found consistency in my swimming, but I also regained the joy I had lost for a long time. My shoulders healed, my performances became reliable again, and I started to trust myself again in the pool. I went on to have some of the best races of my career. And for the last 20 years, I've been swimming pain free, injury free, and most importantly, continue to have joy every time I hit the pool. That's why I'm sharing this with you today. I know what it feels like to be stuck in that cycle of inconsistencies and frustrations, but I also know that the right approach, you can break free from it too. If any of this resonated with you, if you're tired of feeling like your performances are unpredictable, or if you're dealing with injury or even burnout, I can help you through that. I've taken everything I've learned from my journey and built it into the Swim Accelerator, where I coach swimmers like you one on one on how to focus on quality, refine your technique, and swim with efficiency. So if you're ready to start swimming with more consistency, confidence, and power, click on the link below in the description. I've been where you are, and I know what it takes to overcome these challenges. Thank you for watching, and remember, your best swims are still ahead of you.